James's Saturday Show. Fantastic classics, artist interviews, and brand new music. James's Saturday Show on IndieLive.radio.
Tell me a wee bit about the album. I've obviously had a listen to it and I've played a couple of tracks on the radio show. What kind of inspired you to, take these traditional songs and put that twist on them?
So I've probably liked Scottish songs since I was in primary school, which was a long time ago. But you don't really hear them unless maybe in folk clubs, or I don't even know if there are folk clubs anymore. But I kind of felt that since I'm more into a sort of jazzier vein, I felt that a lot of them could lend themselves to being kind of jazzed up and maybe brought to different audiences.
Yeah.
And, kind of trying to bring them a bit to life again. Because, I mean, the stories are all relevant, it's all unrequited love, or, he's done me wrong, or whatever, I mean,
Yeah.
It's all human stories, and they're all such lovely tunes. So, so it's something I've wanted to do for a long time.
Yeah. I must admit, it was when you first contacted us about it, and you were like traditional songs with a jazz twist, and I was thinking to myself, well, I wonder how this is going to work out, because I played in a Ceilidh band, so we did a lot of traditional music, and I just, to begin with, I couldn't get my head around, how you could make it, sort of jazzy, as it were. But once I listened to it, I thought, you know what, this is actually quite inspired.
Well, I'm fortunate in being able to work with some wonderful musicians. I mean, Ewan Stevenson, who plays piano, was also my co-arranger and kind of musical director for the whole project. So, I mean, you're tapping into all their, imagination as well, But I know what you mean. I mean, it could have been quite cheesy. I've heard, over the years, people have done different ones, and you get like by young Bonnie Banks.
Yeah.
And that's not, I mean, that's fine if that's what you like, but that's not really what I wanted to do. I mean, I did want to make them kind of fresh. So, yeah, that's what we did.
Because to me, it kind of falls into this, ever since 2014, there's been a real kind of rise within Scottish artists, wanting to do something different. So you've got people like Iona Fife, who does all her songs in Scots and had this fight with Spotify to get them to recognise Scots as a language. And it just seems to me personally that the whole 2014 independence referendum, although it ultimately didn't work out, for those that wanted it to work out, it did kind of spring forth this new creativity with Scottish artists. I don't know if you've found that.
I think also it's kind of getting over the Scottish cringe. Getting over the idea that we're not good enough, or like, well, our music. Scots inhabit the world. The Scottish diaspora, as they call it, is everywhere.
Yeah.
And our culture, I am a fan. I am a Scottish patriot.
No, that's okay.
It's the right station to be on. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's great that people are kind of rediscovering and reinventing and reimagining Scottish culture and uncovering old gems. Saying, this is who they are, and it is still relevant and it is valid and important.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I remember when I was a wee lad growing up, my mum and my gran singing, those kind of songs, and other people at family get together singing that kind of song, and I'd kind of, like yourself, I'd kind of thought it had got lost in the mist of time, and a few years ago, my nephew's wife had a wee baby girl, and we were down, I was down visiting, I say we, using the Royal, we was down visiting them, and she was sitting and she was singing these songs, which obviously she'd learned, from her gran and stuff like that. And I just thought, so it's still happening, maybe not the way that it was, but it's still happening, and it's great that keeps going,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a project which unfortunately didn't come to fruition. I had a friend, sadly no longer with us, was a very good hip hop artist, and we could never get the timing right. And the plan was that we would do a wee album, and I would do like some stuff from the Rat Pack, so Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and he would put a hip hop spin onto it as well,
Wow.
which I thought would be a
What a
great,
story.
project. But unfortunately, we never actually managed to get it together, and he's no longer with us now. So I don't
Well,
think that'll ever happen.
you're, you're still here and you've still got the idea. And I'm sure I saw something that Creative Scotland were doing something and it was about hip hop. So maybe there's an opportunity for you still.
Well,
Because I love
possibly,
all the rap. I love Frank Sinatra and
yeah,
all the
possibly. I have there's a hip hop artist who I was introduced to, a guy in America, Joel ID, and we've actually interviewed him for the show. So it'd be worthwhile having a wee chat with him and seeing if maybe we
yeah.
can get something together, because I love all types of music, and I never say any kind of music is rubbish, even if it's not really to my taste, I can always find something in it.
Uh,
And I think to appreciate music, you have to do that. You have to look past the bits that you don't like and
yeah.
see, I mean, I remember when punk came out, and it was very grating on you, really raw. But when you actually sat and you listened to it, it was very appropriate for the time,
Absolutely.
with the anger of the youth and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I know I'm getting on a bit now, but I kind of still feel that I've got that kind of youthful anger at times.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it was Duke Ellington that said, or was it Miles Davis? One of them. There's only two types of music: good music and the other kind. Because it is, but is it? Everybody wants all the distribution services, and
Mm,
everybody wants you to put your music in a bag these days. It's jazz or it's folk or
yeah.
it's hip hop or whatever, and music is music, and
Mm,
I mean, you can't like it all, but as you say, you can admire the artistry or the effort. If somebody's put
yeah.
some effort into something, even if it's not to your taste, you can say, well, good on you. You've done your
Yeah.
stuff.
And one of the things that I try to do with my show is to play as much different music as I possibly can.
Yeah,
And I do get quite a lot of really nice comments from people who are listening, saying, oh, I never thought I would hear such and such, playing after or before, something else. And as I say, and I say to them, well, it is my goal in life to try and be as unique as possible with how I'm selecting my music.
yeah,
And that is why I'm always putting out shouts, for new artists, to send us stuff, and we can listen to it. It might not be appropriate for my show because it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
yeah.
But one of my colleagues, Dave, does a show at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night, so it's probably might fit in there. I'm thinking in terms of it's got a lot of swear words in it, but
Yeah, yeah,
because we're not because we're an internet-based radio station, we don't really have to follow the same rules, that are set out for the major radio stations, in terms of you can't have swearing, before 6 in the evening or whatever it might be.
yeah.
So there are times I do try to avoid it, but there are times when I play a track and the sweary words start coming out, and I think, oh God. But then I've always believed that if it's integral to whatever it is, that it's in, so whether it's a song or whether it's TV or whether it's movies, if it's integral to the actual story that's being told, I think it should be included regardless.
It's like going to see Billy Connolly, isn't it? But
Yeah, yeah.
you without those swear words,
I know.
it'd be a lot shorter.
I must admit, I've seen him a few times, and I was actually quite fortunate to work with him
Oh, wow.
on one occasion. He was making a film with Liam Neeson called The Big Man,
Oh yes.
And I was one of the small part background artists in it. But he was an absolute great guy, and an ultimate professional. They'd have a break in the filming and he'd be cracking jokes, right, left and centre with everybody around about. And then they would call, for action to film the next scene, and click of the fingers, he was in the character that he was playing, And I remember thinking to myself, that is a quality actor. And even though he was still pretty much more known at that time, for his stage stuff. So yeah. But I think when you're an artist, I think you have to kind of experience or try as many different things as possible. And I think the same is true for musicians. It's very easy to be labelled, a pop singer or a rock singer, and you can make a great living, from doing that. But personally, I feel that you should be looking to try and stretch yourself a little bit, and I like artists that do that. How about you?
That was another thing around. I mean, I don't know if you've been able to listen to my first album, because I mean, I like when you take music from different genres out of that and just, let's take it in a different direction. Like on my first album, I've got Wichita Lineman, which is considered a country, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful song. And also Sandy Denny's Who Knows Where the Time Goes, again, a folk song. But we've got a Downton band more than anything, but we've got beautiful arrangements. And it's again with My Scottish Heart, you kind of think, a lot of times if you say to folk, oh, I sing jazz, the eyes kind of glaze over, oh, I don't like jazz, because they're thinking it's all some kind of free form.
Yeah.
It's John Coltrane being really out there, which, that's not to everybody's taste. But just this idea of, breaking the boundaries and, and I hope, sorry, I'm losing myself now. Like the Great American Songbook is fantastic, but it's been done many times, and it's hard to find new ways to do that. So it was kind of finding material that can be done in different ways as well. That's another reason behind My Scottish Heart.
Yeah,
I mean, I love the Great American Songbook, but wanted to do something different.
I must admit, I really liked the album title as well. I think it really sums up, and also it might sound a little bit cheeky, this, but it might entice people into it, thinking that it is something slightly different.
Well, it's very personal to me. I mean, it is. I've chosen all the songs, and I've written one of them, and I set one of them to music. The rest are all traditional that we've reinvented, but I do want to appeal to the diaspora. I would love to be going to Canada or wherever and performing these. And the title track, My Scottish Heart, I mean, it is about the Scottish clearances.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't planned that. I always knew the album was going to be called My Scottish Heart, and I always planned to write a song that's going to it. And I was writing this song for, gosh, it must have been going on for about 2 years, but it kept coming out as like, oh, the silvery salmon are swimming up the heathery hills, and all the things I love about Scotland, but it was so twee, and I thought, oh, this is lovely. And then I had a coffee with a friend one day, and I was telling her about it, and I was saying, I want it to be about, loving Scotland, and oh gosh, what would it be like if you had to leave and all that? And then before I knew it, I hadn't planned to write about the clearances, but I went home and I started writing what turned out to be about the Scottish clearances, which has always been a period that really touches me, because I just think it was such a hard time in Scotland's history,
Yeah, it seems to be providing quite a lot of inspiration at the moment for artists, who are either naturally born Scots or who are further afield. There's a guy in Cape Breton in Canada, Steve McIntyre, who I've played on the show, and I've interviewed him for the show. Sorry?
Is he Blues and Roots?
No, he's pretty much writes in a traditional Scottish style.
Oh, right. So he's
Um,
not a radio presenter then?
no.
I'll
He's
confuse him with somebody else.
yeah, no, and he's written some really great stuff. And quite a lot of it is sort of around about the sort of Highland clearances. And he did write a song, and I played it on my show. And for me, it's very much like the Loch Lomond song, you know. It's called Highland Promise is the name of the song, and it's about a Highlander who's at a Culloden.
All right.
You know, and it's such a lovely song, you know, that's kind of relating to a pretty bloody incident, you know, but it's this Highlander who's written this letter to his wife or his girlfriend or, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful piece of music. I keep on...
Sorry, I was going to say also, I think Outlander has been such a popular series, particularly in America, Canada and North America. And I think that's kind of opened up people's...
Yeah, it's quite funny actually talking about Outlander, because I kept hearing people talking about this show. I'm not a great one for TV and film and stuff like that, unless it's sport related. And I kept hearing people talking about this show, Outlander. And I think it was probably into maybe the third or the fourth series before I decided to start watching the first series. And I must admit, I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, if you want to pick holes in it, you can. But it's just an escapism,
I know.
you know, and it's really good, and it's a wonderful cast, you know.
Yeah, but I wonder if it maybe appeals more to the ladies.
Well, that's obviously because of Big Sam.
Sam,
you know, he's gonna appeal to the ladies, you know. But it's a super story.
Yeah, and I mean, it's maybe not completely historically accurate, but no, but it's just that idea that what is it? You know, Game of Thrones and all that has done an awful lot for. Well, maybe has it done a lot for Ireland? I'm not sure, but you know, it's just people come to Scotland looking for the Outlander tour now. You know.
Yeah, I was actually reading something earlier this morning about the National Trust and Culloden. And one of the things that they did mention in it was the fact that they do get a lot of people who are fans of Outlander come up to Culloden, and obviously there were bits filmed, you know, there as well. So, you know, they come to look at it. But then, by the same token, there are people go to Liss because they take the high road.
Oh my goodness!
You know, on the TV, you know, many years ago. So
I think it's back on the telly actually.
It could well be.
Fans.
It could well be. But I mean,
you're talking about Steve McIntyre. I've written down his name because I have a personal ambition that I would love somebody to sing one of my songs.
Oh, right.
Maybe he'd like my Scottish heart.
Well, you never know. You never know. So back to you and music. You don't have to give away your age or anything like that, but I take it you've been in the business for quite a long time.
Well, kind of in and out. I mean, I've been singing since as far as I can remember. I mean, I can remember at the age of 4 being at a holiday camp in Arbroath, and there was a talent show, and my dad taking me up by the hand to the stage and me singing "When Irish Eyes Are Smiling." Which I used to get trotted out at family parties to sing this, and everybody would greet. So I thought, nice music makes you cry. I still think nice music makes you cry. But I've not really been a professional all that long, because I sang in choirs for a long time. I didn't really sing on my own until maybe 16 years ago now. I did, might be longer actually. I went to some jazz vocal workshops. And it wasn't even particularly that I wanted to sing jazz. It was just an opportunity to kind of find my own voice. And I mean, I used to sing when I was drunk, you know. but so I started doing these. I kind of got hooked on the workshops. I used to go to all the workshops, and then I started going to wee open mics. There used to be a good jazz open mic in Glasgow in what was the Universal Bar. And then I started doing wee gigs and then sort of bigger gigs. So, I mean, I've not really, it's always been alongside my day
Yeah.
job,
Mm-hmm.
but it's only really, well, you get to the point where you think, well, if I'm not, I've always wanted to bring out an album, you know, and if I'm going to do it, I have to do it, you know. So that was 2018. I brought out my first album, and I think somewhere along the line, I found that the wee kind of ditties that I've been writing, I could actually turn into songs as well. So I've got some originals on the first album as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it is, as you say, you know, thank you for not asking my age, but you know, I'm not a spring chicken, as they say. So it is that way. I'm kind of trying to do as much as I can, you know,
Yeah.
as quickly as I can, which has been helped obviously in the past year and a half
Mm-hmm.
that we've all been suffering. So yeah, got lots
Yeah.
of other ideas. I've got My Scottish Heart 2 in mind.
Right. Good. Good. So you mentioned that you write material as well. I've got a really good old pal who writes some wonderful stuff. And I don't know if you do this, but he always carries a notebook with him. And he might be sitting, you know, like in a bar or on a bus or whatever, and he'll overhear a snippet of conversation that'll pique his interest, and he'll make a note of it. And then, you know, at some point, you know, he'll go through all of these things and he'll pick out the ones where he thinks he can craft a song from. And that's kind of where he draws his ideas and inspiration from. I was just wondering, you know, what kind of inspired you when you were going to write?
So, well, I do that as well, but it tends to be the bits are all over the place, you know, different things. I've started using my iPad because you can use
Right.
your notes app and I write things in there, but it's, I think at the right time they kind of come together. But also if I'm out, particularly if I'm out in the country or whatever, I get ideas for tunes, you know, for
Yeah.
melodies. So I put them onto my phone.
Mm.
So some of them turn into songs and some of them are waiting.
All right. So would you say then that the melody comes first most of the time, or would it be the lyric?
Uh, it's hard to say. I mean, often when I get a wee melody, it'll maybe have some words attached to it,
Mm.
you know, just a thought kind of a thing. Um, I don't know. I don't really. People always look at that. You know, I go and I've been in quite a few songwriting workshops, and you know, people talk about their kind of processes, and
Mm.
yeah, probably the tune first.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I know from other musicians and singers that I've spoken with, it's quite a variety of answers to that. You
Yeah,
know, there
yeah.
are those who it is all about the music first and foremost, and then there are others who write, in inverted commas, a poem,
Yeah.
and then it gets set to music. You know,
Yeah.
and I think it's always interesting, you know, how people, you know, kind of get that process going. I know for myself, it would probably be the music that would come to me first, you know, and then I don't know if I would be able to write the lyric, but you know, somebody could maybe put a lyric to it. But in all honesty, I've never attempted to write a song. I do write, but I've never attempted to write a song or even a poem for that matter.
Never
But
say never.
well, no, I mean, there was a time when I would probably have not thought, you know, that I would do this, you know, from home to go on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked in various different radio scenarios over the years as well. So, you know, radio is not a stranger to me. But the strangeness was when everybody got locked down and we were taken out of, you know, our physical studio. And it's quite interesting that we actually we have a regular weekly meeting with the at Indie Live Radio, and a couple of weeks ago we were talking about, you know, the possibility of getting another physical studio to work in, and I think I was the only person that said, "Yeah, I want to go back into the studio." Everyone else was like, you know, "Oh no, I quite like doing this from home."
So why did you want to get back into the studio?
Well, I really enjoy being in the studio, and also part of what I used to do before the whole lockdown was that people would come in, artists would come into the studio and chat with me, and on occasion, they would maybe do a wee kind of acoustic thing. Although I'm working on a way that I might be able to get around that by using Zoom.
Oh, okay.
So got to do a couple of wee tests to make sure, because the one thing that you've got to be very careful of when you're doing something like that over Zoom is that you don't get any extraneous echoes, when you're recording it. So,
and the latency.
Yeah, I mean, because I do my show live, even though I'm doing it from home, there is a 20-second delay between like me speaking just now and then it going out through the radio. So I've got to keep that in my mind, It's not so bad at the beginning of a broadcast, because I can always slot something in, that I can hit play 20 seconds before 10 o'clock. And as soon as 10 o'clock hits on the radio output, it plays it. It's more towards the end of a show that it can be a wee bit problematical, when you're trying to fit in the final track or whatever the case may be, So got to do a wee bit of testing on that. I'm hoping that I'll be able to work it, because if I can get it to work, I've got a whole load of people lined up that I can do that with, because I as well as my Saturday show, I do a country music show on a Thursday night. On the radio, and
well, you can play Wichita then.
I've actually played that a couple of times, but the Glenn Campbell version. But I've got some bands, country bands and singers that are quite interested in doing it live through Zoom. So the idea is that we turn it into like a sort of one-off special with this artist, and they'll perform some of their stuff, and then they'll choose what other music we do through the night. So it would be pretty much the same as if they were coming into the studio to be with me, but it's all getting done virtually.
Oh, that makes it nice.
Yeah.
So what have you always been involved in radio then?
Well, I've been involved in radio for must be about 20 odd years, maybe a wee bit more than that. Like a lot of people, I started out with hospital radio.
Right.
And I fell into that because somebody I know, it was actually Victoria Hospital in Kirkcaldy. They were looking for people to do shows. So I went along, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. And it was a proper, record decks, 8-track caps, for adverts and stuff like that, real old school. And I did that for a while, alongside, my performing with the Cayley band and stuff. And then I did a stint at Scott FM.
Okay.
Where I was on what they call the graveyard shift, which is kind of like 2 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning. So I would often come from a gig straight to the radio studio and do that as well. But I'd also done other things, radio type stuff. And I went to college to get some qualifications in radio and stuff like that.
So do you know John Collins then? John Collins?
I don't know. I might do if I've seen him.
He's been in radio for years, and he teaches radio as well.
Whereabouts?
Well, he taught at what was Reed Kerr, and I'm not sure where he's teaching now. Somewhere in Glasgow.
Right.
But he does a load of shows.
No, it was a college in Fife, Glenrothes College, that I did the radio stuff.
Right. So you're
well, no, I'm from Glasgow, but at that time I was married, and my ex-wife was from there, and we were living up there. But back then, of course, everything was recorded on magnetic tape. So when you edited things, you'd cut bits of tape out and put them to one side, and it's great now when you do it all digitally.
Probably.
Yeah.
What did you play in the band? What is it you play?
Well, I played guitar, not particularly well, but I did play guitar. But I taught myself how to play the bowring.
Oh, right, okay.
And I could knock out a couple of tunes on a penny whistle.
Okay.
But I was more really singing, and predominantly the sort of second vocalist in the band to the lead
Okay.
singer. But then I went out on my own, and I was doing it wasn't like a tribute, trying to be Frank Sinatra or that, but I was doing a show which was based around the Rat Pack and their type of
Oh,
music,
okay, good for you.
So I did that, and I did it on the cruise ships,
Oh, wow.
which was
Will be
really good.
fun.
So
You should write a few stories about that.
it's funny you should say that, because earlier on this morning, I was just finishing off a book, because another thing that I do with Indie Live Radio is I do interviews with authors
All right.
as a podcast. And I was just finishing up a book from a guy that I'm hoping to line up to interview. And it was a terrific book. And it got me thinking again about, getting back to doing some more writing. Because I've had this book idea, and it's been on the back burner forever now. It's a sports book. It's about three players who played for a certain football club in Glasgow. They weren't there for a great length of time, but they embedded themselves. They embedded themselves into the sport of the day. So I've got, and in fact, one of them was the father of Gil Scott Heron.
Oh, yes,
Yeah. So
I know what club you mean then.
yeah, I'm trying not to mention it.
Well, I also know you said you're new then, so.
But
No,
it's
I
just
listened to a programme about Gil Scott Heron, well, actually about his father recently on the radio, yeah. It's
yeah.
quite an interesting story, that.
Well, I only found out about it because when we all used to be able to go to football, there was an old guy sat next to me. Sadly, again, he's no longer with us. But at half time and before the games, he used to talk to me, and tell me about, some of the older players that, he had watched and stuff. And that kind of piqued my interest. And for quite a long time now, I've been doing little bits and bobs to it, but I should really give it some time, and really work on it. But I'm so busy at the moment, it's unreal.
But it's giving yourself a deadline, isn't it? And saying,
Yeah.
right, if I do so many chapters by such and such a date,
Yeah. But I suppose in a way it's a bit like, when you're writing songs, or when you're going into record, you need to have a fixed period of time, because everything, costs money. So if you're going into a studio to record, it costs money to get into the studio to record, and then all the other bits and bobs, that go along with it.
Everything. And yes.
But,
anyway, we do it because we love it.
well, I honestly, maybe superstars, of the music business might do it purely for the money nowadays. But I always like to think that anybody, who's involved in any kind of artistic endeavour, they do it because they love it.
Yeah.
And the financial rewards are great when you get them, but if you're not getting them, that's not really the be all and end all of it. I think of the people who spend years and years, singing in pubs and clubs, brilliant musicians, brilliant singers. They never ever get hit records, or anything like that. But it doesn't make them any less than the people that do, hit it,
I know, you just want to reach an audience, and if you can make them, move them in some way,
Yeah, absolutely. No, as you were saying there, about singing, when Irish eyes are smiling, and people, having a wee tear in their eye and stuff like that. To me, that's the best payment, when you get some sort of great reaction.
I still want people to greet when as my husband says, especially music lovers. Yeah, but no. That's it. It's about connecting with people, isn't it? And
yeah, and as you say, unfortunately, because of the whole COVID thing, it's been a real downer for people. Now it's starting to ease off, thankfully. I was reading recently of a couple of gigs that are coming up that are going to be indoors, but there might only be like maybe 100 people or 100 plus people there, just because of the the need for distancing and stuff like that. But there's quite a lot of outdoor things starting to happen again, which is really good. And I think everybody needs it. Obviously, the musicians need it, because they're going to start earning again. But I think the public need it as well, to be able to get out there and meet with others.
Yeah, as long as we're safe, as long as we're all safe.
Well, that's it at the end of the day, So, just in sort of conclusion, then, if you were being asked to give some advice to an up-and-coming young singer, or someone who was thinking that they wanted to be a professional musician, is there anything in particular that you would advise them?
I think the main thing is find your own voice. When I first started going on jazz workshops, I thought, oh, I'm going to sing like Billie Holiday. And then you get guessed because you think, well, I don't actually sound like Billie Holiday. And then you kind of come through the other end and think, well, I sound like me. Nobody else sounds like me. So, I mean, it's I know some fantastic singers that like maybe sound like Amy Winehouse. And you think, well, we had Amy Winehouse.
Yeah.
What do you really sound like? And I want to say stop, take away the filters. Bring yourself out. So I think that's it, and it's hard because you talk about Frank Sinatra, and it's like, we all want to sound like our heroes, that's the music that we've listened to, but nobody's really heard you, So find your own voice and trust that it will be good enough,
That's actually pretty sound advice, I have to say. Usually,
it's taken me a while,
Usually it's a more sort of business type advice that people give, to avoid sharks and dodgy agents and all that kind of thing. But no, that's pretty good. I like that. Yeah, find your own voice. That's really good. I like that. So, just briefly again before we actually have to finish up, you'd see My Scottish Heart #2 possibly might be going to happen. I'm assuming that the first one is going to be available for people to go to stores to buy, or is it just purely something that they would need to buy on the internet?
Both. From the 6th of August, it will be on all the digital sites. But it'll also be available for sale as a CD.
Right. Yeah.
And you can get that either through Bandcamp or Amazon, but don't go there because I don't get much money. Or directly from me.
Right. Cool.
And that way I get all the money.
No, you're quite right. I don't see why other people should be benefiting on the back of you when you're putting in all the work.
I know, but also people say, "Oh, do you need CDs now?" But the number of folk that do still play CDs, and actually, quite a lot of radio presenters still want CDs.
Yeah.
And reviewers. So
I certainly in the car I tend to listen to CDs more than sort of plugging in my phone or something like that. But ideally, I would love to go back to vinyl.
I looked into that. I would have loved to have had some vinyl. I was looking into what was the shortest run that you could do and all that. It's just so expensive.
Yeah.
Unless you were guaranteed to sell a certain amount, cover your costs.
Yeah.
Like, I know what you mean. It would be nice.
Cause I must admit, one of the biggest things that I miss from a musical perspective is being able to go into the record store as you used to do, and you went into a wee booth, you put on a pair of headphones, and you listened. I'm just an old fogey.
I thought you were going to say it was the lifting up the album and then reading it and all that. I mean, I think
obviously there was that as well.
With mine, I've got a wee booklet with some of the information about the track, so I like that. It's not as much as I've liked on there, but never mind.
Well, it's all about size, isn't it? in the space that, you've got to write these things into. But, so all the best for the launch, a week on Friday. So I shall keep my eyes open for that. I'll play this on the show on Saturday, and obviously we'll play a couple more tracks as well.
But you're going to edit it, are you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll edit it, but there won't be a massive amount of edit on it. I like it to sound as natural as possible, as if we were actually doing it live. So
Saturday, I'll tune in for that.
Right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me, and all the best with the album.
Thank you.
Okay, so how do you get in touch with me here at the Saturday Show? Well, it's very, very simple. You can tweet me at JE Saturday Show or at Indie Live Radio. You can send me a message to our page on Facebook, Indie Live Radio. Why not join us on the Discord chat live during the show? Go to the website indielive.radio and sign up to the Discord chat channel. You can text the show 07849 162 250. That's 07849 162 250. You can email me at the show, and if you are a musical artist, singer, band, etc., you email james.saturdayshow@gmail.com with a sample of your music, and we can arrange to have it played on air for you. We have our own Facebook page, and any interviews, new artists that I will be featuring will be posted up on there also.
James's Saturday Show. Fantastic classics, artist interviews, and brand new music. James's Saturday Show on IndieLive.radio.